Welcome to the Jet Set Hers podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jamie. We discuss travel, adventure, and everyday life. Listen with us and let's go somewhere.
Hi.
Yo, Jenny, what's up?
Excited about today because it's been a while, but I actually have a beer to share with you.
Well, let's waste no time then. What you got over there?
So I have a little backstory with this beer. This is from Adele Brewing, which is probably our second largest brewery here in Colorado, if you're not counting Coors, of course, because, They posted this beer on their Facebook, I want to say back in April, and it was supposed to be for a passion fruit IPA they were brewing. And every time I went into this brewery, I asked them, do you have the passion fruit IPA out? And this girl straight up told me 3 times, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not making anything like that. So the last time I went in, I was like, look, this is what it's called. I looked up the name. It's called Positive Latitude. And I was like, when is it going to be ready? So she finally went back and checked, and she's like, oh, it's coming out in 2 weeks. So it finally came out. It's really delicious. It doesn't really have a strong passion fruit taste, but it's just a very good overall hazy IPA. And it's 8%.
Okay, Positive Latitude. What a crazy story. She had no idea even what was going on. Okay.
And I was so bummed because I was so excited to try this beer. And then it made me feel like I was hallucinating this ad that I saw. Yeah.
So did it live up to the hype that you had created for it in your mind?
Yes and no. I feel like if the passion fruit came forward a little stronger,
Yeah.
it would be nice, but it's still a really good beer. So I'm not disappointed.
Lacking the fruit.
Yeah.
Cool.
What are you sipping on?
I'm rocking that classic Bell's. I'm going to take you back with this one. You ready?
I'm ready.
I got that Hop Slam, girl.
Oh, I've never had one.
Oh, okay. Got to get one. 'Tis the season. Rocking 10%. So it's going to be, I'm going to be nursing this, which I'm glad we have a whole episode. So, it's a sipper.
I'll have to try it. 10%. That's a one and done.
That's what I mean. When you just are going out and you just are going to take a sec and you're going to have dinner and you just want one, grab a Hop Slam. Okay. It's really flavorful, double IPA, super hoppy, but I feel like it'd be right up your alley.
Right up your jam. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
And let's just get right to the interview. Today is our first time having a guest back on. I know we say it all the time, but we finally did it. We had someone back on. Tracy from the Travels with Tracy episode wanted to share her very, very recent trip to Malta. So it was her second time going, and we learned a lot more from her.
We lived vicariously through her on her trip, so we've seen a lot of the photos on Instagram already. So it was really cool that she wanted to come back on and actually talk about the trip because we had already seen the photos, and it kind of made the photos come to life. So that was really cool.
Agreed. So let's waste no time. Here's Tracy.
Enjoy, Tracy, coming at you.
All right, we are excited to have a former guest back on today. So hi, Tracy, welcome back.
Hey, hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's coming on to tell us about another recent trip she took to Malta. So we're excited to hear all about it.
Yeah, and it was my second trip. I think I mentioned it briefly in my last time when we were going over all my adventures of 2019. Mm-hmm. And the second last adventure of 2019 was a business trip to Malta where I was there for 10 days. And it was for a conference. Fast forward 2 years of uneventful travel, or no travel, other than a little travel within Canada here and there. All of a sudden, this conference is back on, the AIBC, which is blockchain and Bitcoin and AI and Internet of Things.
Okay.
And the MedTech conference, which is there's basically 3 conferences together. And then MedTech is cannabis, but medical cannabis, but also more so than that, just advancements in medical technology. Anyway, yeah, so they had a couple conferences that was related to those things. And it was on again in 2021. And one of my clients, Christina Shea, wanted to go. So I'm like, well, yeah, let's go again. So me and my husband and my client went. And this time we set it for 14 days, which was 5 days of the business conference, followed by 9 days of just Malta because it's been so long since travel.
I love
it. Time we had a lot of opportunity. We did 5 days. We did our thing at the conference. We were fully conferencing and networking and That was it. We were fully present. And then on the 6th day, we were like, let's buy us one of those hop on bus ticket tourist things.
There you
And
go.
Malta is really tiny. It's like 18, don't quote me, but it's like 15 by 15, 8 by 17. It's really tiny, the whole island. And there's another tinier island that you get to by ferry. So you buy one of these things and you can literally see the whole thing in one day, 2 days.
Wow.
Go right around the whole entire island. So we did that. And then we went back to the places that we wanted to. So, and the amazing thing is, I was mentioning to the hosts earlier, but, I'm Canadian, you guys are American, we travel and normally we meet a lot of us. And I went to Malta and it was noticeable that I met one American guy and I met 2 Canadians, and 2 Canadians were there they were living in England. So they were there like it was British tourists, basically. So it's like they've only really started ramping up their tourism in the last, joined the EU, 25 years ago or something. And they only started really ramping up their tourism and normalizing things in the last 20 years. So really it's something that, North Americans, we stop in the Caribbean. We haven't got that far. We don't think about, I guess we think about Portugal, we think about Spain, but little Malta, which is this tiny gem in the Caribbean. And it's more than just beaches. If you like beaches and palm trees, that's awesome. Go there. It's not that. But what really amazed me, because I'm a history girl, is like, it's got that little tiny island has literally, if you Google it, all of human history still there. Like you can literally go into the Hypogeum, which is 3 floors underground, that was, is 3,000 to 5,000 BC, and you can touch with your hands, walls that humans carved out and see like patterns. I've got this is made by a Maltese artist. The patterns that like
Wow.
spiral pattern that's made in there,
Handmade.
historic Neolithic. So you can actually go, and there's 4 or 5 different spots that we went to where there's actually like, ancient temples. And then on top of that, Malta is most known for like the Catholic history, the Knights of Malta, the 1400s and the 1500s. And, I guess they originally were like hotelier, they were hospitaller, knights, hospitaller or whatever. But then also they were like warriors and the whole Christendom versus whatever thing. So that's not my thing. But that whole history is there too. You can see the Catholic history, you can see the Byzantine history, you can see the Arab history, because Malta was taken over by like everybody at different points. And around the 900s, it was Arab. The name Medina means capital, I think, was the original capital city. And if you go to Medina now, it's still very Arab influence. The language of Maltese apparently is, I thought it was really close to Italian, but it's apparently closer to what the Arab language was in the 1200s.
Wow.
And yeah, and then of course, and then it went off into different, because they were isolated in this little Maltese island. But yeah, so it's got, just, and then they had the British takeover, so they were a British colony until the 60s, in modern times. So there's all kinds of, British, Maltese people will talk to you, think they're British. They're like, oh no, I'm Maltese, and they have a British accent. And they all speak English. So anyway, yeah, so it's really friendly for North Americans because everybody speaks English, like everybody speaks English. And yet it's got all this history, all this culture. And I just discovered it and we totally fell in love. And now we're like, okay, next time we go, we're going for a couple of months. Because you can rent this like epic little castles for, the price of a Toronto, or half the price of a Toronto or a New York City apartment for a month, right?
Right.
That's insane. I've only known one thing about Malta my whole entire life. When I grew up, I had a neighbor, like our neighbor on another street. I went to high school with him and stuff. His name was Brandon. He was Maltese. He was just our friend. He just always said that he was Maltese. He had like the star tattooed on him, and he like would tell us like how his grandparents are just straight from the island of Malta. So that's all I ever heard or ever knew of Malta or anybody being a Maltese growing up.
My picture 2 weeks ago was a book that I saw, me holding up a book, and it was said, visit Malta and learn to be invincible. So really like a national pride, because even though they were, overtaken, because they have a long history, but also they beat out the Great Siege of 1500s or whatever. All this stories of how they beat out, blah, 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 to just like, with small number, all these legends or history, I guess, a small number of people defending the island. And then same thing in the Second World War, apparently they were like the Italian fascists at the time were like, hey, we're taking Malta. that belongs to us. This tiny little historically, and they were like, and they literally like killed the fascists, I mean, like, literally and figuratively, I guess, and to the point where people were saying you are destroying the enemy, or like leaking their resources in the Mediterranean, little Malta. So yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know a thing about it. I heard about, Maltesers, those chocolates.
Yeah, right.
I was going to Malta. I had no idea. If you asked me, like, I ignorantly where it was on a map, I wouldn't have known. But honestly, that's the way most of us are. And I feel like so lucky that the world showed me that, whatever happened to send me there. And then now I'm just like, I feel like, it's really attached to it now. Like, you just discover you guys are travelers. I love travel. I mean, there's something beautiful about every place you go, right?
Mhm.
But this just hits so many little buttons. Like, there's a nightlife. If you want a nightlife, it's a crazy nightlife. But if you want the opposite of that, it's like I said, it's completely untouched almost, even though it was bombed in the war and all that. Not like most European cities, it didn't lose, all of those things that, it didn't lose a lot of the major things there are to look at. Still, it still has like so much of its medieval history. I mean, medieval history and then there's prehistoric history. So yeah, and also beaches and palm trees.
I love history. So that first thing you were talking about earlier, it was like an underground city, like ruins. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yeah. It's like it's not really a city, but it's called a Hypogeum, and it was like they didn't know what it was originally used for, but it was originally was used like 5,000 BC.
I remember the photos.
Yeah, and then somewhere between 5 and 3,000 BC, they were using it as like an underground burial ground, which I guess is where I guess Hypogeum means underground. But when you go in there and they take you down, it's like 3 stories down into the ground. And you know what's crazy? When they only found it like in the early 1900s, when they're in Tarxie, little Tarxie, in this little town there, they were like digging under somebody's house to do some water cistern action or whatever. And the local workers like dug into that. They're like, wait, what? Hold on, what's this now? And it was like a cavern. And then they started digging further, and it was literally like, and it's funny, so they still have, the little, so you can see where the house was. They still have the little portion of the guy's kitchen floor. And it's crazy because here's the guy's kitchen floor. And here's like a foot and a half under is the top of the limestone, whatever the temple is, the top of the ceiling of the temple. You're like, what? So all that time, like a foot under, my husband's like, I want to get a place in Tarxian. Let's dig down and see what's going on there. He's like, because this is for only what?
That is so cool.
Yeah, I remember those pictures on your page when you were posting. You were so close to all that stuff too. Like it was like you're right in there with it.
And you can walk right in. There's something on the outside, like in Gazo, the Gigantia ones. If you Google that, which is supposed to the Gigantia ones are supposed to be the oldest standing thing in all of history that humans have built, older than anything in Rome, older than anything in Jerusalem, older than Stonehenge. And you can literally just walk right in there and like touch them.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I want to give a shout out too to the B Hotel. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Of course.
And I had just booked it, when I stayed there the first time, I stayed at the IHG Intercontinental, because it's where the conference was being held 2 years ago. And this time when we went, the conference was being held somewhat totally different. I don't remember what it was, but my friend said, oh, we should stay at a boutique hotel. So I Googled boutique hotel. And this one came up, and I'm like, oh, I remember vaguely, when you're walking around, like, I remember there was a hotel up in this mall. We were like, that's weird. Let's go. But it's really awesome. So anyway, I called in, I messaged it, and we ended up booking there. And you saw, if you watch my Instagram, they were like really cool. Number one, that was weird though. 3 different people said to me, Canadian, oh wow, I've never met a Canadian. And they were like, it's my dream to go to Canada. And I'm like, it's really cool, right? Like, but I guess, you always want to do something different, because everyone was really friendly and really like nice. It's like they don't meet a lot of North Americans, so they were like super friendly. But yeah, they brought me up when it was my birthday. They were like, oh, you only turn 18 once. And they gave me Prosecco at breakfast at the pool.
And what a sweeties.
And then sent up Maltese wine to the room, and and anyway, all kinds of nice stuff, and gave us a beautiful room, sea view facing. So B Hotel in St. Julian's. And if you're looking for places to go, St. Julian's is like the party town. It's where you go and do all the, like it's the party town of Europe. San Julian, it's called in Maltese. And then Valletta is like, the whole city's it's a capital about 3 kilometers wide. And the whole city's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Go to Malta.
I have to go for the history now for sure. So
yeah, no, exactly. And a bunch of my friends were like, "Oh, I never even heard of it till you went there." And now, the tourist board should pay you. They're not, but they're like, they should, because you're like introducing us all to it. I'm like, yes, it's the world is here, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go back. I mean, there's lots of other places I still have to go, but I think we're going to use it also as our base. Because when you go to Europe, anywhere in Europe, you all know it's so cheaper to fly anywhere else.
Yeah.
So if we go to Europe, if we go to Malta for 3-4 months, and then from there you can go to Greece for $49. You can go to England for $50. You can go to even Egypt. Cairo was like $69 from Malta.
Jenny,
I know. Right? I have to go. I dream about it once a week.
Countries over Cairo. I know. I was like, when I was leaving the first time, because that's where I first always wanted to go, was Egypt. My first dream of travel. And when we were leaving Malta the first time in 2019, that's when I realized, where the heck am I on the planet? Oh my God. I didn't realize it was that close, because we're going back to the airport. So I'm about to be, coming back to Toronto for some reason, right? And there's a big billboard near the airport. Fly to Cairo, $59. And I'm like, or euro. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? How is it like $70 to fly to Egypt? And my husband's like, yeah, it's like right over there. And I'm like, oh my God, bye, I'm going to get out of the car. You go home, I'm going that way.
I would have.
You're literally I was saying 300 kilometers, but that's from like way in Sicily. Apparently you're only like 60 kilometers from the coast of Sicily. And you're like 300 kilometers from the coast of Africa, Libya, where you wouldn't want to be going right now because Libya, right? But still, you're right by, like Africa, the Middle East. This is why it was always taken over and everything, because in the old days of warfare, when you had to stop your ship to refuel, it was really well placed for everybody, right?
Everyone wanted it.
Unfortunately.
Now it feels safer there because who needs it, right? It's a little tiny. What do you need? Your little airstrip? I mean, everything's coming from above now.
So what's the temperature there?
So in their winter, which is right now and up to January, it gets as cold as like 15 degrees in the day.
Wow.
17. It can go down to like 10 at night. It's sometimes, if it's really cold, it'll go to like 8 at night or something. But it's always, as soon as the sun comes up, it's like 18, 19, 17. So their coldest, I guess, would be like 15, 16, 17. Oh, Celsius sometimes.
I was going to say that's Celsius.
Yeah, but Celsius. Yeah, I figured it.
So 18 Celsius is 64 degrees. So in their winter,
for
the
sure,
daytime it's like 64 degrees. So like it's like a fall, where in the daytime you're fine. It gets hot, you'll be taking off and just wearing, you're probably just wearing a t-shirt in the daytime. But in the nighttime, there's a breeze coming off the water.
Right.
And chances are you're going to want to have a little jacket, right? Even
for
when
sure.
But I was going in the ocean on my birthday, November 26th. So it's not,
I was going to say, that sounds actually like perfect weather to explore and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why we're going back in, January, which is totally off season. So all the hotels and everything's a cheaper deal. You don't have to wait for a million lines unless, you're not going there. If you're going to be a beach baby, you probably want to go, like a little early in the year. Though I'm looking at my hotel out in December. People are still on the beach sunning themselves. They're still tanning. It's just a little. It's not like hot. It's just warm, right?
Yeah.
But for museums and everything, which is what my mom wants to do primarily, you go in January, you're like fall weather, you're not fighting crowds, everything's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's the kind of travel I like.
That's right up our alley. Yep.
And it's not like, I'm coming from Toronto area, so it's like minus, right now it's like minus, it feels like -6 out. It says it's 6 degrees, but it feels more like -6.
Yeah.
So if I go there and I'm talking again Celsius, but again, so if I go somewhere where it's 20 degrees warmer than that, hey,
exactly.
I'm going to the pool. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, and even if it is too chilly, I feel like swimming in Malta is worth it because it's like, how often are you going to be able to say you went to the beach in Malta? It's like, you're not going to care that it's a little chilly.
Oh, and if you're into scuba diving or brave enough to try it or whatever, they have a really big scuba culture there. Apparently, some
Ooh.
really neat stuff to check out. So when I was there, it was too cold really for me to get brave enough to go, and you can, but I'd be more tempted to do that when it was, a little bit warmer.
Right.
You're not like, yeah.
Right.
You might see more when it's a little cooler though, because there's not as many people in the
It's probably
water.
so cool once you get in there because you're wearing that
Yeah.
stupid outfit and everything. Maybe it's even hot. Who knows? It's
True. It's your wetsuit.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, anyway, you guys should do a girl trip there. I'm telling you.
We're
I
down.
mean, everything's on our list, so
Right.
I wouldn't put it past us.
Oh, the world. Yeah, I know. You guys have a new list every day with all the stories you hear.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I'll go there. I'll go there. I'll go there.
I'm really
So hard.
curious about the absinthe too, because I've never had real absinthe before. I've had
Yeah.
like the American version, which is like obviously
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah, no, you gotta go there. It was like green, like dark green, and it stained your lips and everything. It stained your, it was like,
What?
yeah.
How'd
I
you
was
get it
like,
off?
well, I mean, it didn't stay forever, but I mean, that
Okay.
It's like a rich red wine. Like wine does that too sometimes.
It like leaves a little.
But like, but I was like, whoa, that's like, yeah. So, and I was posting. I gotta find. I should find the post. It was from the last time. This time we didn't find the place. I asked one place if they had it. It was on the menu, and they didn't end up having it. It was morning. It was like, whatever. But the other time was like in a nice, fancy restaurant where they did it, right. They brought it in nice. Wasn't sketchy. It was like, okay,
Right.
Do they serve it with the sugar cube, or am I
yeah, they
mixing
did
that
it
up?
all. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
What does it
For
taste
the-
like?
I remember it as kind of like I haven't drank the one that's here, so I haven't had it in 2 years. So I'll open it up and drink it before the next time we meet. But,
Yes.
it's been a while. But I remember it has like an undertone of like, those European liqueurs that are like licoricey.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now. There's other ones. There's like two other, like a Zambuca or something.
Uzo.
It almost has like not quite, but it has that kind of a. That kind of sort of like it's strong and like you wouldn't be drinking gallons, which is good. It's a shot thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not a fan of the licorice tasting stuff, but I'll still try it.
you'll still try it though.
Yeah, same.
It's a travel thing.
So me and Jamie go to Malta and we try absinthe while we're on our Instagram live. I feel like that would be entertaining.
Yeah, there you go.
Share it with you.
Hopefully nobody cuts off any ears or anything. Like the Van Gogh story, you know why I'm saying that, right?
Yeah.
But apparently all our great grandparents or whatever generation that was, great greats, that's what they were into. So they were a little crazy ass.
Exactly.
Because it's not like alcohol; it's more like a hallucinogen,
Right.
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think what we got in the rest would be like a lower dose, right? And I wasn't taking no 5. I'm in a strange country. I'm not messing around.
Yeah.
I'm not at home. Maybe if I was at home, I'd be like, hey, maybe I will. Who knows? I got it now. But I mean, then I wasn't like overdoing. I was just like, oh, just shot. That's awesome. That's good. We'll leave it at that, right? I've read about that shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it just felt like I go, whoa, but I didn't overindulge, so I wouldn't know if all of a sudden it got like loopy, really loopy, or just sick or what.
Yeah.
Did you have to declare that through customs?
I wonder, but I just said I have a bottle of wine and he has 2 bottles of alcohol.
Okay, so I was just wondering.
And there was no form or anything. Like I remember in the old days coming through, at least from America, we used to have when we were on the plane, we'd have like before we approached, if we got into Canada, we'd have they'd bring like a form for us all to fill out. But I guess now we do that when we get into the airport, we click on, oh, do you have anything to declare, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't, yes, 2 bottles, which you're allowed to carry 2 bottles back when you've been out of the country however many days. They didn't ask what it was, or they didn't say, is it under 40? Because I would have thought, and I would declare it, I'm not messing around if they ask.
Right.
They but I remember it's same as last time. Last time we brought 2 bottles back, but last time we were coming back through Turkey, and Turkey apparently doesn't let you bring any alcohol over a certain number of, like, over a certain proof. So we got like fake absinthe. I mean, it was like mini absinthe that time because we couldn't bring anything. I'm not going to mess around with Turkey, right?
Right.
So we didn't, like, I just, yeah, I'm okay, So this time though, we were coming back through Austria, and so we just, have the regular rules. But nobody asked us about the proof because in Canada we don't have. But I mean, when we go to the States, we're allowed to buy whatever you guys have there, which is higher proof than we have, and bring 1 or 2 back. But in Canada, what's sold on the shelves is only like 40 proof or whatever. So I thought there'd be, we'd be saying, oh yeah, I have 2 bottles of, 80 proof or 140 proof or whatever the heck it is. But no, they just did anything to declare. I'm like, I got a bottle of wine. He got 2 bottles of liquor. And they're like, okay, bye.
That was it.
See ya.
Tell us about the food that you ate. It's our favorite part.
I can't remember the food that they have there. I didn't necessarily eat it all because the Maltese specialties and then I'll tell you about what I did eat because I'm not that brave an eater. But a Maltese specialty is rabbit, and another Maltese specialty is octopus. And I had a bite of my friend's octopus, just a tiny little bite, and it was okay. And
it's really chewy.
I've had octopus before.
I thought it was going to be chewy, or like the way they made it there, like it was a tiny bite. So I thought it was going to be a lot more rubbery. So I was like, okay, it's not horrible,
Okay.
I wouldn't, I'm not really a fan of that kind. I'm not a big, huge seafood fan, other than just your basic fish, right? And rabbit, the little bunny rabbit I didn't eat. So, but I mean, it's a cultural thing, whatever, that's traditional.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's delicious. I did try the ravioli. So they have another, and then they have Maltese cheese, which is it's like, it's not like ricotta, but it's similar, like that kind of a thing.
Oh.
So we have all these little like fried cheese things that are just like, not like our kind of fried that are battered and put in, but like fried, like actually like pan fried cheese thingies.
Ooh.
Yeah, like a mozzarella thing. And then like fatira bread, which fatira is like their baguette, how the way baguette is, but it's like round and like crunchy on the outside, like soft on the inside. And you'll see it like, in sandwiches. They make tuna sandwiches a lot, but it's not like what we would expect. It's like a tuna Mediterranean style, which is more like made with tomato paste and tuna and like spice.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have a food called Bigilla, Bigilla or something. I didn't know what it was. It was just like, we went to a Maltese restaurant, traditional Maltese restaurant, this beautiful, beautiful place called La Maltira. And it had like, the Maltese cross on the table, the night, like the whole deal, right? And you're in like this place that looks like it's 400 years old, and I'm sure it is because everything there is. And and so, but they just have it like they just serve it to you as an appetizer and just putting it on crackers. You could tell it wasn't meat, but I wasn't sure what it was. And then later I Googled it and found out. And it's a traditional, similar to, it's like their version of hummus, but it tastes totally different and it feels more like grainy. And it's made out of like a broad bean instead of chickpeas.
Okay.
But so basically it's just like garlic, this broad bean, and some spices, but it's really delicious. So that
sounds good.
Yeah, I would try it.
I came home and I literally Googled a big lot. I would try to see if I could find it on Amazon or whatever. No, only in the UK. Apparently I could buy from some UK site. And there's some Maltese site that looks like it might ship internationally. I wasn't sure. I was about to find out, but then I learned I was going back on the 16th. So I was like,
all right.
Malta. Before it arrives here from any Amazon or whatever. So
right.
So you're going back in January?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if all, Canada doesn't suddenly say only essential travel like they did last year or something weird like that. Right now, they're recommending that people don't travel, but they're not telling you not to. So hopefully they don't go ahead and do that. But yeah, my mom bought this ticket. Apparently, she just said she would like to have a girls' trip and that she had money to travel and she was watching all the adventures and she's fascinated by the history part of it. And, I was really surprised, but she's like, let's go. And I'm like, let's go.
That's awesome.
I love that. How old is your mom?
So awesome.
So she's in her 70s, mid-70s.
I love that. Go out and see the world.
She needed something that'll give her a little joie de vivre and something to look forward to after this last. And so, now we're planning this. We had bought the tickets and contacted the B Hotel and said, yes, what? I know I left only a week ago.
But
I'd
I'm
like to
coming
come
back.
You have room for me. And they were, awesome, super cool, and give me a really, really good deal, even better than one before. So I'm going back to I know what I'm going back to,
Right. I can tell how excited you are. This is so awesome.
Obviously, we're gonna have to hear about that trip come January. So
maybe we'll check in. We should check in and record 10 minutes while you can see the background or from the beach, or we'll do a live stream or something.
let's do a live.
That would be
Insta
awesome.
live. Yeah. Heck yeah.
And then we could do Malta.
Yeah.
Episode 3, Malta.
Yeah. Malta part 3. 10-part series.
The first one was only Malta intro because we had Jamaica and Liverpool.
Exactly.
Right.
That was just a teaser.
It was just a teaser. And then I went back and ooh, wow, all right.
Is there any little things you wanted to say, like any advice for anyone planning
to go?
Mm-hmm.
So layers for clothes, make sure it's layers, because you're gonna get really hot and then you'll be cool. Like if you're not, and if you're going in the summer, it's desert heat, so be aware of that. It's a desert climate in the summer, and in the fall or whatever. That's where I prefer to go, fall or spring, and you want layers so you can take things off when you get hot. And
put it back on when you get cold.
You don't have to drink everything that they give you. You don't have to have say no, because otherwise, especially, and that's only in St. Gillian's. You go to Valletta and the other more traditional places won't be the case. But San Gillian is crazy. Your party town central. I don't know. It's like like Fort Lauderdale or whatever. Only the Europe version. All the European people coming there, and it's like woohoo, doesn't close. But then you go to the other cities and you're like, oh, okay, it's a little.
It's not all like that.
Oh, okay, it makes more sense.
That's more my speed, not
the
party.
Exactly. It's not, it's like Vegas. You can get sick of that real quick. You know what I mean? Like you can go to a little bit goes a long way in terms of the party stuff, but then you go to the history stuff and the fine restaurants and everything else is like, oh wow. And oh my gosh, and Blue Grotto. Make sure you go to the Blue Grotto. It's amazing. It's water. Like it looks like you're in a little tiny boat, like a fisherman's boat, and you're in the waves and you're going through, and there's just no way to describe the colors and the water, and it is quite amazing. So check it out in the Blue Lagoon and all that stuff. And just go in. And I say, again, just think of it, go in the off season if you want to go when there's not a lot of lineups and when it's not desert heat and crazy on the beach. You'll meet a lot of Europeans, but not many North Americans. So go and expand your horizons, get some other outlooks on life. It's fun.
That's how I am. I don't want extreme heat. I like to go on off season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just more pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one. I'm like, no, fall and spring. It's my mind.
All right. And for all those listening that didn't hear your first episode, how can they find you?
Oh, yes, they can find me. And by the way, if they ever want to talk business, I'm a publicist. So yeah, you can find me for professional reasons, or if you anything to do with travel. Yeah, so I'm open to if people want to send me somewhere, I'll talk about it. Tracy Lamori on Facebook, on Instagram, Tracy Lamori PR Media, on my website, lamorimedia.com.
All right. Thank you again so much for coming on. It's always a good time, and we can't wait to hear about Malta Part 3.
Yep, thank you so much. I'll be happy to come back.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you again so much, Tracy, for coming back on and talking with us. I'm really excited to look at these pictures because I have missed out on the Instagram one since it's Jamie that really runs our Insta. But now I'm really curious to see all of those.
And we can't wait to hear about your new Malta trip when you go in January. So just like we said, there's going to be probably Malta Part 3. There probably is going to be Malta Part 3.
Yeah.
Just because it sounds so awesome. There's so much to talk about and so much history. And if you're like Jenny and I, you're history buffs.
Yeah, hopefully we can make it just like an Instagram live. Hopefully it'll work out and she can actually show us where she is. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That would be super awesome if we could get some action when she's recording live from Malta. I feel like that would be super great. So Tracy, when you hear this, we're down. Just let us know.
And keep an eye out on our socials, which are Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
JetSitHersPod.
Send us an email.
JetSitHers@gmail.com.
And because we know you love us, you love our guests, go on, give us a rate, give us that 5-star review.
You know what to do. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.